Zerno top one. Bébé Nedi Nedigar, écoute Papa BKZ, chante. Je t'aime chouchou, ne te fâche pas. Reçois encore cet amour qui se fend jusqu'à devenir un ruisseau coulant. Zerno top one.
Hello, I'm Anne-Marie Connolly.
Anne-Marie, can you tell us what do you know about Africa?
Oh, how much do I need to say? I know some people from Somalia and Sudan and Chad and Eritrea, and that's about it. I know a little bit about food, and I know a little bit about being in camp. And I know that the African families are very trusting in Australia, especially when they come to childcare. That's about it.
And doing a bit of a comparison between the African culture, which you may not know much, but still, and the Western or Australian culture, what comes to your mind?
We're all the same, really.
Do you think that Australians in general, or white Australians, know a lot about Africa and Africans?
Clearly not. No, not generally, I don't think.
And what do you think should be encouraged to improve that knowledge and understanding between mainstream Australian Africans?
I think the more African families that come here, the greater the understanding will be. And I think through cultural events, through music, food, all the general things.
Hi, I'm Tallulah Rufus.
What do you know about Africa?
That it's below Switzerland.
And have you met any African person in Australia?
Yes, in primary school, I used to go out with this guy who was from Africa.
Is that serious or are you joking?
No, serious.
Okay, what do you understand about the African culture, for instance?
That they're really they're all together and they're really cultural and tribal, and they're all work as a family and stuff.
Do you know who's the president of Africa?
The president? No.
Is Africa one country or a continent?
It's a continent.
Do you know how many countries?
Over 7.
Shannon, what can you tell us about Africa?
Well, okay, I know that they're pretty music based, and they use a lot of kind of ancient history during today as well. It's kind of modernized though.
Yes.
And there's all these different parts of Africa that some are kind of more modern than others, and there's all these different tribes.
Have you had any dealings with people of African origin?
I have a sponsor child, if that counts. I don't know. Yeah, she's African.
And what do you understand of the African culture compared to the Australian or Western culture?
It's not as developed, I'd say. I don't know.
Anything else that comes to your mind?
Not really.
All right.
I'm Matthew Taylor.
Are you an Australian citizen?
Yes, yeah, Tasmania.
And you've been living in Melbourne quite a while?
Yep.
All right. What do you understand about Africa?
Well, it's a very large country, full of Africans. There are some countries in there that have got political problems and some countries that are quite stable.
Do you have any idea how many countries there will be in Africa?
I'd guess between 20 and 30.
And no, it's not. It's 52.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, and do you see any major differences between the African culture and the Western culture in general, and the Australian culture in particular?
I think in some countries in Africa, they're very crowded, like Kenya and places like that. And also in other countries, there's a huge disparity, or whatever the word is, between wealthy people and not wealthy people.
Have you had any dealings with people of African origin yourself?
Yeah, I do a bit of volunteering at the Migrant Resource Centre in Tasmania, and my sister works for immigration in Australia.
And what, if you can sort of, in one word or a couple of words, summarize your perception of African people?
Well, I'd say that African people are the same as Asian people or Western people. Or
do you think there's a good understanding between Africans and Australians within the Australian context?
Well, coming from the African point of view, I don't know. I wouldn't say. I'd say that anybody moving from one culture to another takes time to adjust. From the Australian point of view, looking at the Africans, I don't pay any attention. I don't watch Today Tonight. I don't look at sensationalist television or sensationalist radio. So all I know is me and my group of friends, and I don't know. We don't really even have an opinion.
What are some of the elements of the African culture that come to your mind when you talk about Africa?
Well, from my experience in Tasmania, it's food and community. The community of celebrations and of dancing and stuff like that. But basically, it's like any immigrant group that comes to Australia. For the first couple of decades, you spend a lot of time gravitating towards your own community. And so there's communities of Africans in Australia, just like there's communities of Asians and that kind of stuff, and they just celebrate their community, and it's fantastic. And in time, they'll be totally integrated, and the next wave of immigrants will come through.
And what are some of the things that you may want to encourage to facilitate better understanding between Africans living in Australia and the rest of mainstream Australia?
Well, prejudice is based on fear, and fear is based on fear of the unknown, not knowing what other people are like. So it's just basically all about education. It's all about, there are, adults just need to learn more about different cultures, and children need to be educated about different cultures.